that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Today on Light of the Word with Pastor Ray.
God the Father knows what it is to lose someone close. And he comforts those who mourn because he knows what it is for that separation. Is the Spirit of the Lord upon you? It is. And we have example of David and God, the Spirit of the Lord, is to comfort those who mourn.
Open your heart to us, Lord, so we can know your word. We come before you, Jesus. Speak to our hearts as we discover your love for us. How wide, how deep, how far. Pour into us so we can learn to follow. One surrender at a time. You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the Word.
Many of us would agree that each and every person deals with the loss of a loved one differently and grieves in their own way. With that being said, we sometimes end up feeling as though no one else can quite understand our own grief and the sorrow we experience. However, in today's message, you'll learn from Pastor Ray how God truly does know the grief and sorrows of loss over a loved one. In his study, he'll teach you that it's because our Heavenly Father knows the grief of separation all too well that he seeks to comfort those who mourn. Well, let's join Pastor Ray in the book of 2 Samuel chapter 10 for today's edition of Light of the Word.
I believe God has a word for every person here today. I'm positive, because God's words never return void, and God always has a word in perfect season for each and every one of us. So God always has a word for us. This word's living and powerful. We're going to see the great God today. And where we've been last chapter was a few weeks ago as we went into some holiday time. But we've seen the heart of David and his kindness towards Jonathan, his best friend who has perished, and the kindness of David towards his son Mephibosheth. We're going to see the continual heart of David today, and it's going to speak to us. But it's all really a picture of our greater than David, Jesus Christ. So without further ado, let's just get in. Lots of power here in our passage. 2 Samuel chapter 10, verse 1. It happened after this that the king of the people of Ammon died, and Hanun, his son, reigned in his place. Ammon is modern-day Jordan, so keep an eye on Jordan. It's a very interesting place in the Middle East. I'm not sure which way they're going, to be honest with you, from a prophetic standpoint. Verse 2, then David said, I will show kindness to Hanun, the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness to me. So David sent by the hand of his servants to comfort him concerning his father, and David's servants came into the land of the people of Ammon. So the king, Nahash, David and the king had some type of relationship that was a good one. That king had showed David kindness. Most likely that probably happened when David was in his exile on the run from Saul. We really don't have a recording of what this kindness was. But David, when he comes into power, he doesn't go to war against Ammon. We see his kindness towards this king even as he comes into the greatness of his power. And so now the king has died who was David's friend, and David's going to send delegations, ambassadors, respected men from his kingdom. And we as United States do this all the time. When a world power, it doesn't even have to be a world power, really. When a world leader dies, the United States always sends some type of delegation to the funeral to represent and say, we understand your pain. We understand the time and how hard this is upon your nation. And we want you to know that nothing's changed between us. Our relationship will go unchanged, and we stand with you in your time of need, and we send comfort in your time of need. And so this is what David is doing here, and he sends these ambassadors. These men are respected. It would be like sending our Secretary of State, or even the president of himself attends some of these funerals. So this is what's happening here. David sends these delegates there. Now, if you've read ahead and you know the rest of this chapter, what's going to happen is he's going to get counsel, this son. He's going to be suspicious. And then before it's all over, there's going to be this massive war, and about 41,000 men will die. And we can jump to that and get rolling into that in verse 3. But I want you to see something, because this is usually the way it goes. We jump into there's a war coming, and they misunderstood David's intentions, and we can build off of that, and we will. But I want you to see something here. Look at the heart of David. Does he have an amazing heart? I'm going to send kindness. I'm going to send sorrow. I'm going to send sympathy. I'm going to comfort this son who has just lost his father. And there's a picture here, our greater than David, Jesus Christ. That's his heart. When Jesus came and started his public ministry, he opened the scroll there in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61. It's recorded for us in Luke chapter 4, but I want to read to you Isaiah 61. Jesus gives his mission statement. And yes, his mission statement is to seek and save that which is lost. But you know, his mission statement goes much more than that. His mission statement is this, Isaiah 61, verse 1 through 3. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good tidings to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and the opening of prison to those who are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord and the day of vengeance of God. And I want you to lock in on these words for today: to comfort all who mourn, to console those who mourn in Zion, to give them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garments of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they may be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he may be glorified. This is the mission statement of the Lord himself. He knows what it is to lose a loved one. But I really shouldn't use the word lose, because he gave. He gave his loved one, Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. God the Father knows what it is to lose someone close. And he comforts those who mourn, because he knows what it is for that separation. Is the Spirit of the Lord upon you? It is. And we have example of David and God. The Spirit of the Lord is to comfort those who mourn. I don't know. This year has been the hardest year as a church. We've lost more people to death than all the years before. Shouldn't surprise us. This is the cycle of life. And may we be a people who comfort those who mourn. And if you're here mourning today, as recent as this week, our brother lost his father, who would come here often. God doesn't just send comforters. God is the comforter. And he comforts those who mourn. And he will comfort and grab anyone here who's suffering from a loss of a loved one, someone who's dear to you. I pray that the comforter, God himself, comforts you. It doesn't matter if you lost your loved one this week, this month, or in the last lifetime. He comforts those who mourn because that's his mission statement. David, what a heart. Picture of our greater than David, Jesus Christ. Verse 3. And the princes of the people of Ammon said to Hanun, their lord, do you think that David really honors your father because he sent comforters to you? Has David not rather sent his servants to you in search of the city to spy it out and to overthrow it? We're told this is a walled city. We know David doesn't have war with his father, Nahash. There's been peace between David and Ammon. And so now these counselors come to this new king, the son, not sure of his age, said, oh man, you can't trust David. David's here to seek out. David's now going to take opportunity to attack and plunder and kill and destroy. Don't trust David. And so here these counselors come, to which I say, and there's an application for us, be careful, Christian, who is your counselor. Be careful who has your ear. Be careful who speaks to you. And when they do, when anyone comes, because everybody has an opinion, it seems. Is that not right? And when they come, may we evaluate the counsel that is brought and given to us. So here's this man, I don't know his age. He comes, he's got this whole kingdom now of Ammon that he's responsible for, and there's no time to mourn. Immediately he's given counsel. You got to look out for David. Here he comes. Who knows what he's up to? And I want you to see the environment, because if you've lived through it, which everyone has, here's what happens so many times. Notice three things that's going on, and he has to make this decision. And he's getting counsel from this side of the ear, but he has to make this decision. And three things are going on. One, it's a very emotional moment for him. He's going to have to make a decision that could change lives, and it does. 41,000 will die on this decision from this bad counsel, but he's under this tremendous stress because he's grieving. You know, your body actually puts off a hormone. God's created it in such a way, I think it's called cortisol, that as you grieve, there's a release of this hormone, and it's to God's design, part of the body and the comforting of it. Too much of it, though, is too much. If we don't grab onto the comfort of God and we try to find comfort in the way of the world, it's not how it's designed to be. But here he's under this tremendous emotional period, grieving. Secondly, we see there's no time to rest. The world's pressing in. You have all of this going on around you. You don't have time to properly grieve and think through the life that you had with your father, because now you're king. You got a whole kingdom to be responsible for. And so again, in our lives, things happen. And where I'm going with this is be careful about making life decisions in extremely emotional moments of your life. Death, illness, relational. And then the world, it always keeps going. I still got to get up. I still got to perform. I got to go to work. I got to make a living. I got to do this and that. I still have kids to take care of, and it just compounds it even more. And notice what the devil loves to use, because he loves to operate in the environment and realm of fear. If he can put fear into your mind, then it wipes out what we're told. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but a power, love, and what, church? A sound mind. Fear removes a sound mind. Fear removes the ability to think things through and to to really make wise decisions. And so Satan loves to work in the realm of fear. And so here this young man is now the king, and he's emotional from the grieving of his father. He's got a kingdom to run. Just like that, in a moment of a last breath, he is now the breath of the kingdom. And now Satan works in fear because here comes these men. David, you know how great David is? He's mighty. Everybody knows about David, and he's coming for your kingdom. Now he lives in this place of fear. And he gets this counsel from these men who don't know David. They don't know the heart of David. God gives us word. May we apply it to our lives of counsel. And may I say this and remember this for life. God tells us, Proverbs 15:22, without counsel, plans go awry, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. But church, know this. God doesn't mean just any old counsel. He's talking about godly counsel. When you make that decision and you're in life's decision, should I go on this mission trip? Should I be in this relationship? Should I take this job? How do I deal with this situation? It's not just any counsel, it's godly counsel. Proverbs 24:6, for by wise counsel you will wage your own war. And boy, is that applicable to our passage today. And in the multitude of counselors, there is safety. But again, not just any counsel. It's got to be wise counsel. Psalm 1:1, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the ungodly. That's those who don't know Jesus. Or you can apply it even those who don't know the word of the Lord. Nor stands in the path of sinners, nor sits in the seats of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bring forth its fruit in season, whose leaf also shall not wither, and whatever he does shall prosper. Not just any counsel, but godly counsel. You know, when people give me counsel in my life, sometimes it comes in the form of an attack. Sometimes it comes in the form of well-intention. In all the cases when counsel comes to me, one of the things I always evaluate from that person is, who is their counselors? Because you ever enter into a relationship, or better said, a situation, and something happens, there's a misunderstanding, and then all of a sudden it escalates into something. You're like, wow, where in the world did this come from? What? I thought this relationship that we had was solid. I thought we had this understanding with each other, and you ever come to that place of what happened? I mean, we were tight. We had this relationship, and you think, what got into their mind? Well, it very well could be counselors. They're getting counsel from somebody who has now stirred them to be something that you're like, wow, this totally came out of nowhere. I didn't expect this. And so I do, when in these situations, I always look and go, who are their counselors? Who do they surround themselves with? Do they surround themselves with godly, or are they surrounding themselves with ungodly? And this man here, this son, boy, it's a picture of me in North Korea today. You know, this young man who took over the power for his father. You know who his counselors are? Old war hawks. They're men who still exist from the Cold War, men who still exist from the Korean War. They still have a scornful and a hatred for the United States of America, and they are the counselors to Kim Jong-un. It's scary to me. I see such a picture, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. And I can see the picture right here. This guy, he's got these old war hawks. I mean, you got to be careful about David. So I look and I say, who are these people's counselors? So for your application, when somebody wants to give counsel, you have to say, where do they get their counsel? Who fills their ears? Who do they hang out with? Do they hang out with people who are planted by the rivers of living water? Or are they people who are planted and walking in the path of the scornful and the sinners? And then there's another one I look at too when I get counsel and or these type of situations that stir is, do they have any counsel at all? Will they allow themselves to apply Proverbs 15, Proverbs 24? Do they allow themselves to have counsel? Because sometimes, and maybe God might speak to you, I don't need counsel. I got it. I'm good. That's equally dangerous. Anyone who does not put themselves and have themselves surrounded in the multitude of counselors. But not just any counselors, godly counsel. I surround myself with godly counsel. There's no way I would try to run and manage and minister to this church without godly counsel surrounding me. And then the third one I look at, some people, they have all the counsel. They got counsel everywhere. Because you know what? It doesn't have to go far to get counsel today. And that counsel can seem so wise as you click through the internet. Anybody can put a video up on YouTube or build their own website and then have tens of thousands of hits. And people go, well, they must be wise because they got all these people. Oprah for president? Are you serious? Are you serious? Where is her wisdom? And yet the world would actually entertain Oprah for president. I don't know if I should go very far on that because then I have to address Mr. Trump. Who's his counselors? But there's a danger for us because counsel on the internet, counsel on books, counsel on blogs, you can self-publish now. It's not hard to write books and people can buy them and read them. And you know, when you see them on television, they seem like they're so wise, but no one knows their life. No one walks with them. You never met them, but they can seem like you know them, but you have no idea their life, how opposite it is. And boy, that's been continually on our news today. All these people who were well respected, then all of a sudden you find out, no, not at all. Not at all. And we're watching many of them and finding out what was really in their hearts. And they're stepping down from political leadership. People who shaped and molded our laws, and we find out the depravity of their heart. People who stood before cameras and proclaimed the news and even got to interview presidents and presidents-to-be and find out the depravity of their heart. Oh, there's counsel everywhere. But God doesn't just say any old counsel, godly counsel. Who is Kim Jong-un's counselors? Who is President Trump's counselors? Yesterday in the United States of America, 38 minutes of pure terror because somebody accidentally pushed the wrong button, so we're told. I don't think there's any conspiracy there. I think someone pushed the wrong button. But for 38 minutes, Hawaii was held hostage, if you would, to terror.
You have made the way for us to know you, a path that's straight and bright. By the light of the world.
We know your day is hectic and filled to the brim, so we're so happy you chose to spend time with us today on Light of the Word. We'd like to share another way you can hear Pastor Ray Bolus's messages and even take them with you on the go. Light of the Word has a mobile app for Apple, Android, and Windows devices, giving you access to the latest teachings as soon as they're made available, right at your fingertips. You'll also have Pastor Ray's teaching notes, be able to set up a personalized Bible reading plan, Plus, discover more about Calvary Chapel of Anne Arundel County, the church these messages originate from. You'll find a link to download this app under the About tab at our website, ccaac.org. We'd love to stay in touch with you, so don't forget to sign up for our weekly newsletter while you're there. Do you have a prayer request you'd like to share with us, or do you have any questions? If so, please take a moment to email us at mail@ccaac.org. That email address again is mail@ccaac.org. We'll get back to you as soon as possible and do our best to answer your questions. We love that we can lift our listeners up to the Lord in prayer, and we'd like to ask you if you do the same for us. Thanks for praying, and thanks for listening today to Light of the Word, illuminating the heart of God.